RDMS.
Oh, so Reynoso, no, so that's a sick name, man.
Bro, I appreciate that.
Went from watching in the stands and watching guys like you and the guys that were like from a generation before me.
Whenever I do fight again, I need Christian Reynoso there on commentary. Otherwise, I'm not doing it.
What's up, guys, and welcome back to another edition of Reynoso. Noso. Christian here. Super stoked today because I get to sit down with one of the Midwest fastest rising amateurs. 7-2 mixed martial artist, currently the reigning defending MFC amateur featherweight champion, and just days away from vying for the inaugural APFC lightweight title. Please welcome none other than the surgeon, Angelo Tsakopoulos. What's happening, brother?
Hey man, glad to be here. Real glad to be here talking with another one of my great friends getting ready for this fight. So,
bro, this is great. Like you said, we're buddies, we're friends, and it's a relationship that's developed. Well, I've had the privilege of calling a bunch of your fights, and we kind of have been able to kind of develop a relationship, friendship along the way. We'll get to that and all the romantic stuff in a minute. But, bro, you've got a big fight coming up, literally days away from facing off against Leonel Zavala as you make your APFC debut, and you make your debut fighting for the lightweight strap. Let's talk about it.
yeah, I'm super pumped. One of the things, my teammate Tyler Funky Bones Jones, he just got done with his camp, and one of the things, Volk said it, and we've just been hammering this home the entire camp, is like, the pressure is a privilege. This is what I prayed for. I prayed for bigger opportunities. We kind of had a bit of a heartbreaker. I got real excited earlier in the year about a potential opportunity to fight for an awesome promotion out of Vegas. And the chips just didn't fall in the right order for that to work out. But, I'm super pumped now. I get to fight for, in my view, as far as the Midwest goes, like the premier promotion, fighting a super tough guy who has only fought super tough people for what will eventually be a piece of like Midwest MMA history. I like that inaugural. That has a nice ring to it. So, this is what I prayed for, man. I got a full plate, and, I can't be sitting here complaining about having to chew.
Yeah, definitely. But you're making your APFC debut going right into a title fight, but this isn't like unfamiliar for you. If I'm not mistaken, you're like 5 fights or so into your amateur career before you took your first amateur title fight. Is it something that, and it's kind of felt like like I said, I've had the privilege of calling a bunch of your fights. After that, it was like title fight, title fight, title fight. And here you are, another title fight. Grateful for the pressure, right? But talk to me about being a guy that at this point, still early-ish in your career, is going from spotlight to spotlight, from marquee to marquee.
It's great, and what it does, and, I credit this largely to the rich levels of experience that all of my coaching staff, but like particularly Jeff Neal. He's been doing this forever. He's always been big on that, like getting the experience, getting under those big stages. Danny was instrumental. Coach Danny from Intercept, he was instrumental in me landing this fight with his connection with APFC. And like going from promotion to promotion and not getting into the mindset of like, okay, this is my safe space. This is my promotion that I call home. I'm just this promotions guy. It's not like a disloyalty thing, but like if my goal is to take this to the highest level, not too often do you see UFC fighters that are fighting for belts fighting in the same place all the time. So it's really good to, travel for fights and go through the process of cutting the weight in the hotel, and to have, a new stock of fighters that are going to be like putting their eyeballs on you. And, as soon as you get that champ, man, you become the target. Everybody starts throwing their darts at you. So I'm really excited, and I'm really pumped that I get to go from, Matador, one of, it's more or less like the same stock of fighters as TFC, which I fought for in the past, to go from one of the longest running MMA promotions, I think, in the country, to now one of the youngest and like hottest emerging MMA promotions in the Midwest. And, you know, I'm just really excited for the whole process.
Yeah, and by going to APFC, like you said, obviously it is the premier show here in the Midwest. But another thing that stands out to me, I've had the privilege of working for APFC and commentating their shows a couple of times. The level of talent from amateur to pro, it's just a dude, it's like it's right there. Like these are the highest level amateurs. And because of that, the attention, the energy, it's all the same level. Like you get underneath those APFC lights, dude, it's freaking game on. And you're gonna, I mean, you know it, right? Like you've seen the show, you've been there. It's fire, dude. So I'm super excited for you to get this chance. I remember after your last fight in May when you beat Gustavo Perez, you got that nasty head kick knockout or TKO finish. It was special for you. It was special. You made it special for me, dog, because I'm sitting there doing play by play, and I wasn't gonna do your post fight interview, and you run over, and you asked for me to come in and do your interview. First of all, I think I've thanked you in the past, but let's do it public, dude. That was a big deal for me, so thank you very much for that. That was a big deal, Angelo. Um, but when we did that interview, you mentioned the Vegas promotion, that a bit of a heartbreaker, right? It doesn't. We say it, right. It was tough
Right.
enough. You wanted it. You shot out tough enough. That's promotion I've been talking to in the past. So I was like, perfect, And I knew they started chatting with you right away. But one thing that stood out to me is you said, I want to get one more amateur fight for a big promotion before potentially moving on to the professional leagues. Is that still your sentiment?
Yeah, and I've been talking with my coaches a lot, and I think it's less so about having like a box checked of like I've done X many fights, and because like if you've done 15 amateur fights, or with all my boxing fights included, I think this will be 17. So like having that box checked, like that's good mentally, but really like I wanna go in there and feel comfortable under those lights, because this is a big stage, and I'm fighting a tough guy, and I want to go in there and feel seasoned. I want to feel like I don't have to rush into anything. I don't have to feel desperate in this fight. I want to sort of take my time and savor that pressure and be in a position where now, instead of being the guy that's constantly expecting a nonstop car crash and who's tougher, I want to sort of demonstrate some of the skills that come with my level of experience, like being able to pace, being able to, approach the fight with the knowledge that no matter if it's the full 15 minutes or it's the first round, I'm confident in moving in the correct direction that whole time.
Yeah. Um, I feel like it's been pretty clear to see your evolution over the last few fights, especially. Um, you're strong. You're clearly a physically strong guy. You're fast. You're explosive. And I feel like in your earlier fights, I don't know if I describe it as a car crash, but you definitely would come out and use it and show it. You've seemed more calculated in the last few fights. Especially like I said in that Gustavo Perez fight. I remember watching you. I was like, this guy's like downloading him in those first few instances. Um, is that Coach Danny?
Yeah, I mean, working with him and Tyler and the guys over here, where it's not that any of my other coaches are not cerebral, but it's such a cerebral approach to the fight. Like, I've always been a guy who, like, grappling just makes sense to me. Like it clicked with me in a way that virtually every other aspect of striking, it tends to be a little bit harder of work for me to grasp some of those concepts, and having it then systematically broken down in basically the same way that I learn how to grapple, which is like with generalized principles and then fine tuning how we apply those principles. It has turned my striking into something now that I feel like is comprehensive. I used to be a real tough jujitsu guy that knew how to throw a punch, kind of. and then he would use sort of some of his punches to try to close the distance and then just turn it into a jiu-jitsu match. Whereas now I feel like I have like a comprehensive system on like how to use my striking to set up my grappling to then set up my striking again. Or maybe I just want to strike the whole time with somebody, depending on the round or depending on their physical characteristics or what I'm feeling in the moment. And I can't say enough good things about how cerebral and comprehensive the training over at Intercept has been. And, you know, working with guys like Coach Danny, Tyler, even our wrestling coach, like the way that he systematizes everything, Coach Dom, it makes it so much easier to apply that under the fire.
Yeah, I feel like I've had Tyler on the show. Obviously, I've seen a lot of the Intercept fighters, and like you said, not to take anything away from your other coach or any of the other coaches around here, but it's becoming I mean, if you know, you know, and it's becoming a thing. It's like, oh, these Intercept guys, they're real, obviously technicians, but also from the mental aspect and from the game planning aspect and the strategic aspect, you guys are clearly, at a very, very high level. So kudos to your team, kudos to Coach Danny, and to Tyler Funky Bones Jones. Shout out to the new ACL champ, who put on a hell of a performance over the weekend. Well, bro, let's talk about your background. You said you felt yourself falling into the jiu-jitsu portion and understanding that early on. But your background, let's talk about, I mean, we don't have to go back to childhood, but like sports coming into this wrestling background, yes?
No, actually. So that's funny.
Football background, anything. Give me something physical, nothing.
So I used to like when I was like a little tyke, I did like taekwondo for a little bit, and
That counts. Counts.
well, right. So like, you know, a couple of board breaking years when I was like a little guy. You couldn't tell from the way that I fight, but I started training like seriously when I was 19. Before that, you know, like little stuff here and there. I was always into bodybuilding in high school. So like I was just eating an inordinate amount of food and then just lifting heavy weight, and that was about it. So I lost like 34 pounds, I think, from when I started training before my first fight. And so I always like knew how to move my body, I guess, but like the grappling just it clicked with me in a way. And I really got to credit all of my early career and, you know, even my jujitsu now, Brian and Ryan Bishop out of Carlson Gracie Team MMA, Morris, uh, you know, they took me in and I was only training there because that was like the only MMA gym that I knew of. And their jujitsu is, you know, they got it straight from Carlson Gracie Senior and Junior. It's world class. And working with those guys, eventually they were like, all right, this kid, he might just be too stubborn for us to not let him fight. So then they sent me on over to work with Jeff Neal at Aurora. I did my first couple of fights with him, boxing fights. And he has like his system of how he takes a fighter from nothing and gives them stuff and helps them along the way with fighting and all the advice. You know, I mean, he's worked with Bonner and Ricardo Lamas back in the day. I mean, he's worked with everybody. If you're in the Chicagoland MMA scene, you know Jeff Neal. Working with him, he put me in contact with Steve. Working with Steve, as I still do now. I'm out there basically every Friday at Team Cologne. And Steve's connection with Danny is how I wound up at Intercept. And here we are fighting for the inaugural APFC lightweight title for amateur. So it's been a crazy road. It's really been pretty short, all things considered. I mean, I'm 24 right now, so got a long road ahead.
Yeah, bro, but it's been absolutely gangbusters for you, dude. Like it's been like the pace you're keeping up. It's impressive. What's the origins I got to get to it right away, dude. While Tyler's name is still out there, fuck it. What's the origin of the surgeon versus the Tzatziki King as far as the proper nicknames that we should be addressing you by?
So I was the surgeon. This is hilarious. I didn't think I was going to tell this story for a long time, but here we are. So it's like a week before I think my fourth MMA fight. And my coach comes to me like kind of limping. Jeff, he comes to me kind of limping. And I'm fighting for Ignite back when they were at the Compass Arena. So like big promotion. You know, I'm 3-0, looking to make it 4-0. Hopefully, after that one, get my name and title contention for them. And Jeff is limping. I'm like, "What's wrong, coach?" He's like, "Man, I think I got to go to the hospital. Like, my foot's bad." He'd like got a sliver of metal in his foot, and he basically was like, "Listen, I want to be there for the rest of your camp and like hold pads for you and do everything else that I do for you, uh, for this fight week, but I can't walk on it right now. You think you could get this taken care of for me?" So I fished that out, and from that day forward, everybody at the gym called me the surgeon. Not because I'm surgical with my technique or anything.
That's a fantastic story, actually.
Yeah. And then Tyler, I made a bunch of my I made a bunch of food for one of the parties that the team had, and I brought tzatziki, and Tyler's a big fan of that. So he started calling me the Tzatziki King, and it kind of stuck. And then he made literally the coolest shirt of all time with it, and I was like, "Well, shit, now it has to kind of I got
Oh, bro, that's so funny, dude. Because like, I'll tell you this. I didn't expect you to have like proper stories for the definite. Like, I figured it was Tyler just being an idiot and calling you Tzatziki King because you're Greek, which is what I would have gone with. Like, I know I have, but I actually have a couple of Greek buddies that like I have one of them I call the Tzatziki King all the time, but it has nothing to do with like there's no proper story. I'm just an idiot. Um, those are the same guys that feed me Greek lines that you hear me spitting through the commentary at during your fights. So by the way, I come with those fucking locked and loaded. Yeah, dude. Shout out to my buddies Socrates and Thanasi for helping me stay fine tuned with a little bit of Greek. Um, but dude, that's a good. Okay, so what are you gonna be going with? Because like I use them both interchangeably, or is it fair to say that you're gonna be going with the surgeon at APFC?
yeah. When I filled out the form, but you know, that's like the name of the people, we'll call it. You know, like people. That's what the people call me. So, well, we'll see how it evolves.
Bro, that's fucking dope. Awesome, man. Well, it's gonna sound good. I'm buddies with the announcer from APFC, Michael Hansen, who's I think one of the best in the game. And I was wondering, I was like, fuck, it would be really funny to hear him go, that's Tzatziki King, but the surgeon's good. The surgeon's good. Um, Brilliant, bro. So like it in a perfect world, you go out there, you get the job done, bro. You know, we don't need time frames or anything like that. And we also I don't need like specifics, but like, do you do you think you'd like to stick around APFC and defend that belt? I mean,
You know, I'm that's gonna be like a conversation that I'm gonna have like a sit down with all of my coaches, and you know, like the biggest thing is I love the fact that nobody that is on my coaching staff uh ever like butters stuff up. They'll just tell you exactly how it looks. Like if I go out there and it's a war and maybe I drop the ball in certain areas of my game that they want to see polished before I make that decision to go pro, because you know you can't you can't undo that once you go there. Once you make that professional debut, um, you know, like you're saying, I'm ready to bring my skill set to the highest level that it can go for good. Whereas amateur, you know, we're still getting all those reps, we're still getting that experience. Um, I would love to stay and fight to defend the title if we make the decision that maybe one more before, because I absolutely love the promotion. I love what they do. I love the focus that they put on the fighters. I'd also love to maybe make a professional debut or have one of my early professional fights for them, because like I mean we're starting to see it now in with a lot of the fighters that fight for APFC at the professional level. We're starting to get more and more UFC alumni, and you know that'd be amazing to one day add to that list, and that's the goal. But it's all based off the development of your skill set and the development of your mindset.
Um, one thing that I kind of already touched on a little bit that I think's really cool about you, is that you're very proudly Greek, and you take your opportunity to stand in these big spotlights, you know, like the one you're going to be standing at APFC, and you use the opportunity to shine it back on your culture. Um, Talk to me a little bit about that, and you know, like being just a Midwest Greek kid, which, like I said, I've got a bunch of buddies. I know it's a thing. You guys are strong out here, and what it means to represent. I think Greek athletes are kind of underrepresented in mixed martial arts. It's what it is, I suppose. But let's talk about it. What it means to go out there. The Tzatziki King, the Hellenic Hammer, the Grecian Delight, whatever you want to go with, bro. Like I
Right.
got these. I got these.
Oh man, see, I gotta pay him a 10% fee if I ever use that. I saw that in the contract. But no, I mean it means a lot, and more than anything, more than any um because the real reason why I do this, the biggest why that I have is it's cross cultural. It's my version of a ministry is to spread the faith. I'm a devout Orthodox Christian, and I believe that Hellenism and Greek culture, it has been so deeply interwoven with the spreading of Orthodox Christianity. So while like I love my Greek heritage, my dad was born there, my mom's dad was born there and moved here as a man, and like our family, that it's like the most Greek thing you could ever see at a Thanksgiving. Like there's not a turkey in sight. It's just lamb and potatoes and everything else that you would see at like a Greek supermarket. But I take those moments specifically because that's why I'm here. Like Christ is why I have air in my lungs right now, and all the glory does belong to Him. I'm just a guy that found something that he loves to do and kind of has a knack for that violence. But if I could use that platform to introduce people with the kind of freedom that I've found in my relationship with Christ, then that's all I want. Everything else past that is just a cherry on top. And, I'm grateful for the opportunity to go out there and to represent. And, I've made so many amazing relationships with people that I've met in passing because, the prouder you are of your faith and the more that you'll bring it to the world, the more love that you get between people that otherwise you'd never have a relationship with. And that is what means the most to me. That's what I'm most excited for with this APFC debut is, I get to bring that flag with the face of Christ on it in front of a whole bunch of eyeballs. And, if they listen to nothing else that I say, I pray that they listen to my sincere plea that, you get to know Jesus.
Beautiful, brother. And I think that's one of the best kind of things we see in fighting a lot of times is the recognition of this sport, these lights, these microphones, they can be a vehicle, right? Like it can be a lot more than there is to the naked eye. And obviously that translates to a lot of different things, right? But let's stay specific to what we're talking about. I know for a fact, like I was blessed that when I was fighting professionally and I was getting those opportunities as well, that I already had created a relationship with Christ, and I was taking the opportunity to get on the mic and say give all the glory back, right? And I remember at one point, I'm gonna bring up it's funny we should talk about this because I just brushed the memory out for me. I remember at one point somebody they're still in my life, so I'm just might as well remain nameless. Jokingly said like, oh, that's so like cliche or so generic, because at the time, like, now I'm really gonna date myself, like Ben Henderson and a lot of these other guys are doing it, and like Wonder Boy and all these guys, right, that were really popular at the time, and they said it to me like almost like jokingly, thinking I would laugh along too, and it kind of hurt me for a minute because it was someone that was very close to me that I thought knew me better. But then I remember looking back and being like, well, if it is a cliche and if it is just something people are doing, well, then I think that's the most beautiful cliche. And I hope that every person that says it means it. But if they don't, maybe somebody that's listening will still benefit from it. So you know what? Yeah, deem it what you want. But I think taking these opportunities and trying to make them something, allowing them to be something bigger, I think that's awesome, bro. And I think it speaks volumes about you, bro. That's wonderful. Um, Enough glazing, bro. What's next for the Tzatziki King guy? I know you got some training tonight, but you're just days away. So take me through this last week of training or winding up training camp before your title fight.
Yeah, so we got fight team in a bit, and then we got wrestling. I feel great. I'm in great shape. Just getting the weight off for the weight cut. I've done it 17 times now. We got the recipe here. I work with phenomenal coaches as far as the skills training goes, but I also have a phenomenal sponsor, uh, Kat, on our team, the Golden Era nutrition coach. She's got all my nutrition dialed, so we're getting the weight off the right way. We're doing it intelligently and just staying healthy and basically just getting my mind right where it needs to be. Really allowing yourself to kind of feel those emotions in the week leading up to the fight. To talk to yourself and say like, yeah, you're supposed to feel these emotions right now. You're supposed to feel the anxiety and the excitement, and you're going to be a little bit confused because your body is about to get put through something crazy, and you're about to do something crazy, and that's the beauty of it. And trying to enjoy that process while having to slam a bunch of water is not always the easiest thing. But like I said, I prayed for a full plate. I can't get, you know, I can't moan and groan about having to chew a bit.
Yeah, I always talk about like how fortunate people are to fight on a card with like multiple teammates on the same card because you get to like obviously prepare together, go to war together, and all that. But you're in kind of a different boat where like you got to train with like let's say Tyler for instance, you had the whole training camp, pretty much your training camps go right with each other, but then he goes a week early. So one, I'm sure that adrenaline dump for Tyler's fight was intense for you, and two, I mean, best case scenario happened. He got the big win. Now you probably feel like you can keep that momentum going.
Absolutely. I mean, seeing him, that drive was brutal, I will say, but seeing him out there in his element, doing everything, not only that we worked, but everything that he said, like I'm going to draw a line in the sand. And if he comes over that line, we're going to detonate a bomb, right? Like every single thing that he said, all the mentality stuff we worked on, and I know he works on all the technical stuff that he worked on, and then to go out there and to fight a guy, undefeated, number one ranked lightweight in the state, in his home turf. I mean, you couldn't hear any of us cheering for him because everybody was cheering for the other guy, and they put on an amazing fight. But like, I saw something switch in that third round when he went out there and he changed the course of the fight with that straight left. And that's the sort of energy that I'm going to be tapping into. We were just texting about it earlier today. I'm feeding off that energy of him taking home that title, and I full well intend on taking that energy into the fight come November 2nd.
Amazing. Angelo, this has been awesome, dude. I'm so glad we finally got to do this. Like I said, we've kind of developed a relationship in passing every time I commentate your fights. And, we chat for a little bit afterwards. Usually you're still huffing and puffing and carrying around a big fancy belt and shit. So it's not really the best situation to get to know one another. But we talked about doing this. I'm so grateful to you for taking the time. I know you're at the gym. You got practice in a couple minutes. I won't take up any more of your time. My man, any final thoughts, shout outs, sponsors, love you on to give before we wrap this up?
Uh, yeah, I mean, as always, shout out to my team. They're I wouldn't be anywhere if it wasn't for the people that I have in my life. Intercept, Team Cologne, Carlson Grace team, all my awesome coaches like my boxing coach Dave, Jeff Neal, Danny. I mean, Coach Barry Hoppin. He's been awesome this camp coming in here, working with Tyler. But he's always giving advice around the room, helping me out. All my awesome teammates, my guys at the 3033, the local, all my friends and family coming out to support me. And as always, and more than anything else, thank you, Christ, for the opportunity. And thank you that I got breath in my lungs for another day.
Amen. And how can fight fans follow you and stay up to speed on all things the surgeon, the Tzatziki King, Angelo Tsakopoulos?
You could shoot me a follow on Instagram, the surgeon MMA underscore. And then, yeah, all my stuff's going to be posted on there. Actually, just releasing with my film guy, David. We basically documented all the Shark Tanks during this camp. So there's going to be a YouTube series dropping the rest of this week. First episode's out. You could hit up my Instagram, and the link to that will be in there. So if you want to see some of the shenanigans that went on all camp long.
Yeah, you guys, I know you guys are all business out there, but man, you guys are some clowns inside the gym. I've been seeing some of your stuff, and I respect that. I respect that. Awesome. Well, with that, I think it goes like this. The Leo say?
Yes,
Over?
sir. Yes, sir.
Excellent. Well, fight fans, make sure you give Angelo a follow. Stay up to speed on all things Angelo Tsakopoulos, and make sure you tune in this weekend as he'll be vying for that inaugural lightweight strap at APFC, coming to you live exclusively on UFC Fight Pass. Angelo, I'm so grateful for your time. Best of luck, brother. We'll be catching up soon, my man.
Absolutely, brother. It was a pleasure as always.
Thank you, brother. And